In America, buying meat now feels like playing the lottery. You spend money, but you're not sure you're bringing home something you would dare feed your family. Some stores dress up the meat with red lighting, preservatives, and dyes, but there are still places that sell real meat. Fresh, clean, properly cut, and worth every dollar. Today, we're not talking about luck. We're talking about the 12 best stores to buy meat in the United States. Places Americans 50+ trust absolutely, where butchers still cut like artisans, and the meat meets the standards of a high-end restaurant. No advertising, no favoritism. Just the truth everyone needs to know, so your meals are always safe, delicious, and worthy of the money you spend. Ready? Let's begin. 12. WCO Foods. Cheap prices, real meat, and the honesty many supermarkets have lost. In an era where many supermarkets dress up meat with red lighting, color-preserving chemicals, or labels like organic, premium that sound fancy but mean nothing, WCO Foods chooses to stay on the opposite side. Quiet, simple, unpolished, yet making the entire industry take notice. WCO is not a luxury supermarket. It doesn't display meat like an art exhibit. It doesn't hang banners that say chef quality. But it preserves what most major chains in America have already lost: a real meat counter with real butchers. This is what makes WCO one of the most surprising names on the list of the 12 best places to buy meat in the United States. Walking into WCO, you don't just see meat, you see people. The butcher holding the knife, cutting the meat with proper technique, to your exact request, for the exact dish you plan to cook tonight. In an era of industrialized food, where most supermarkets only display mass-produced, factory-packaged trays of meat, this scene has become a rare treasure. And it's precisely because of these real butchers that WCO's meat maintains its most important characteristic: extremely fast turnover. Meat comes in, it sells out, then new meat comes in. There's no such thing as sitting for 3 to 4 days with red lights shining on it. No artificially perfect color. No taking it home only to discover a strange smell. With WCO, freshness doesn't come from luck. It comes from speed. Another thing that makes WCO even more special: this is a supermarket owned by its employees. The employee-owned model, ESOP, creates a culture where the person behind the counter isn't just a worker. They're a co-owner, someone with a direct stake in maintaining the best quality. When the seller is also a shareholder, they will never want to sell a low-quality piece of meat to a customer, because that would also mean selling something wrong to themselves. WCO also keeps an extremely lean operating model. No unnecessary decorations. No accepting credit cards to save processing fees. No flashy marketing. Low prices don't come from cutting quality. They come from cutting unnecessary operating costs. The meat at WCO doesn't get polished, doesn't get made up, doesn't need colored lighting. It's honest, simple, and true to its real value. In an America where the truth about a piece of meat is sometimes hidden under bright lighting, WCO chooses the opposite. Speak little, do things right, and let quality answer for itself. A budget-friendly supermarket, yet one that preserves the spirit of traditional butchery and the trust that buyers aged 50+ always look for. 11. Market Basket. The supermarket beloved by New England for its honesty. In New England, there is a supermarket where people don't just stop by to buy groceries. They trust it as part of their community. Market Basket. No red lights to make the meat look better. No premium marketing that forces customers to pay a few extra dollars for fancy words. The meat here is red in the natural sense. Beautiful because it's fresh. red because it's properly handled. Not the fake red color you see in supermarkets that treat the meat counter like a stage with theatrical lighting. Market Basket is a place where customers are so crowded that meat comes in and sells out. Turnover is so fast that many people joke, "Here, meat doesn't even have time to age." This creates the kind of consistency older shoppers appreciate. No strange smells. No cuts that sit there for 3 to 4 days and change color. Nothing that makes you stand over the sink, hesitating whether to cook it or throw it away. If we talk about peace of mind at the most basic level, Market Basket is the place that simply does that one thing right, selling fresh meat exactly as promised. The prices here are what make New Englanders defend Market Basket, the way they defend their sports teams. In a time when inflation pushes everything higher, Market Basket has become almost a fortress against high prices. The prices are low, yet strangely, the quality doesn't drop with them. Many people say they could pay more elsewhere, but they would never get the same consistency they get at Market Basket. And if you stand at the meat counter long enough, you'll notice something unusual. The employees here don't work with a just-get-it-done attitude. Many have stayed for decades, cutting meat with the technique of people who truly understand whose dinner they're preparing for. No noise, no marketing philosophy, just the attitude of, "I cut it the way I would cut it for my own family." Market Basket is not a luxurious supermarket, but in a world of supermarkets filled with gimmicks, it has become one of the rare places that still preserves decency. Here, low prices do not pull quality down, they pull trust up. If you want to continue receiving honest, unpolished analysis about the places worth trusting when buying food for your family, hit like and subscribe to the channel. 10. Meijer, Midwest. A place where families who buy meat every week find a rare kind of consistency. In the Midwest, where family dinners are still a tradition preserved through generations, Meijer has become a trusted stop in a way that's almost unbelievable. Not because it's fancy, not because it's famous, but because of something extremely rare in retail. The consistency of this week looking like last week, and next week looking the same. Meijer doesn't impress with glamorous stories about organic or dry-aged. They win buyers over with something simple that anyone 50+ understands. I need fresh meat, and I need it every week. And Meijer does that so well that many Midwest families see it as their food anchor. What makes Meijer special lies in how they operate their meat department. Not flashy, not lighting tricks to make the meat look better, but very tight control. They don't chase hundreds of products to display. They focus on the best-selling lines with fast turnover, and that's exactly what ensures freshness. In many other supermarkets, shoppers have to bend down to check the color of the meat, touch to see if it's slimy. But at Meijer, most middle-aged customers walk up to the meat counter with a sense of relief. Here, I rarely have to worry. Another advantage that many people outside the Midwest don't know. Meijer has a team of long-tenured meat cutters. Quiet, not showy, but extremely precise. They're not there just to stand behind the counter. They recut the thickness of a steak, portion meat into smaller packs for older adults living alone, or pick cuts that fit each family's cooking style. Not high-end butchers, but the kind of staff who truly understand what weekly shoppers actually need. And the price? Meijer isn't the cheapest, but they maintain a price level that makes 50+ shoppers feel comfortable, not wallet pain every time they buy meat. In a time when food costs are skyrocketing, Meijer's refusal to push prices too aggressively makes them an ideal choice for frequent buyers, especially those trying to balance budget and meal quality. Meijer isn't the kind of supermarket that makes you say, wow, when you walk in, but it is the kind of place that makes you breathe out in relief when you walk out. Because you know the meat you're bringing home is something you can trust. 9. Hi-Vee. A place where Midwest shoppers buy meat not out of habit, but out of loyalty. If there is one place where Midwest residents are willing to drive a few extra miles just to buy meat, it's Hi-Vee. Not because of discounts, not because of fancy signage, but because Hi-Vee has preserved something many American supermarkets have lost: respect for the meat and for the customer. Walking up to the Hi-Vee meat counter doesn't feel like going to a supermarket. It feels like stepping into a modern farm shop, where the person behind the counter knows each cut like they once raised the animal themselves. And that is the biggest difference. Real butchers, real skills, not employees watching a cooler. At many chains, butcher is just a job title. But at Hi-Vee, they are people who have cut tens of thousands of pounds of meat in their lifetime, who understand every tendon, every fat marbling, every cooking method. You only need to say, "Tonight I'm cooking for my granddaughter." They'll pick the softest cut. You say, "I want to slow cook for 8 hours." They hand you a cut so perfect, you just want to go home and turn on the pot immediately. No long-winded philosophy, no upselling, just skill and mastery. Beef and pork at Hi-Vee. The pride of Midwest shoppers. The Midwest is an agricultural powerhouse, and Hi-Vee knows how to preserve that value. Their beef is so well regarded that many believe Hi-Vee sells meat better than some mid-range steakhouses. Their pork is praised for clean fat, no smell, no injected water, something 50-plus shoppers are extremely sensitive to. The meat at Hi-Vee has fast turnover, which means it doesn't sit around for many days. And that's why many customers say that at Hi-Vee, you look at the meat and immediately want to cook it. Meat shopping that feels like visiting a farm, not an industrial line. What Hi-Vee sells is not just meat. They sell peace of mind, the feeling that you're buying from someone who raised the animal, not from a processing line. No red lights to fake freshness, no strange odor, no slimy texture on day 2. Hi-Vee gives shoppers, especially those 50-plus, something extremely important: the confidence to bring food home to their families. And in an era where too many chains sell pretty but not real, Hi-Vee stands as the Midwest's strong reply. We know what good meat is, and we don't accept anything less. 8. Sam's Club. A place where buying in bulk doesn't mean lower quality. In the US, there is no shortage of places that sell cheap meat under the idea of buy more to save more. But very few can maintain quality when you're forced to buy large packs. And that is exactly why Sam's Club holds this spot. One of the rare places where buying more is not a trade-off. Sam's Club doesn't use red lights to beautify the meat, doesn't use preservatives to keep a fake pink color, doesn't decorate with organic or natural slogans to win you over. They display meat as it is, real, raw, without makeup. And that honesty is worth more than any marketing trick. What makes Sam's Club different is not the pack size, but the strange consistency. The ribeye this week, the ribeye next week. Nearly the same quality, same thickness, same marbling. People 50-plus who have bought meat for decades all understand this. Consistency is gold. You don't need to touch every pack to see if the meat has been water injected. You don't need to squint to check whether it's being red-tinted by fake lighting. Sam's Club simply delivers what many big chains cannot: meat that's correct, pricing that's correct, and quality that's correct. And that's why this place is perfect for large families, cooking every day, needing big quantities without sacrificing quality, People who meal prep, those who portion, freeze, and want the meat to keep its structure and freshness after thawing. Anyone tired of meat counters that look pretty but not real. Sam's Club isn't a place that makes you go, wow, when you walk in. But it is the place that makes you smile when you walk out. Because you know you bought a lot, but bought right. If you're in your 50s and want to know where the safest places to buy food are, which chains to avoid, and the truth behind every meat counter in America, hit like and subscribe right now. 7. Stater Bros, California. The true butcher's market. California has many grocery stores, but Stater Bros is the place that makes people who take meat seriously freeze in place the moment they walk in. Not because of fancy signage, not because of luxurious advertising, but because this is one of the very few chains that still keeps a real butcher counter. A place where meat doesn't just sit on a tray. It is cut, selected, and cared for by people with real skill. At Stater Bros, the meat doesn't carry the fake red glow of LED lights, isn't made up with CO gas to hold its color. The meat here is red in the natural sense. The fat is properly distributed. The surface is dry. All signs of correct handling, not industrial processing. That's why Californians who love BBQ see Stater Bros as a mandatory stop whenever they prepare tri-tip, brisket, or ribeye for the weekend. What makes Stater Bros stand out far above other grocery stores lies in the skill of its butchers. They are not employees standing beside a cold case. They are people who understand every muscle fiber, every connective line, every cut suitable for every type of dish. You want a California-style tri-tip? They cut it to the right thickness and the right grain direction. You want a brisket for a 12-hour smoke? They know exactly how much fat cap is needed to keep it tender without washing out the flavor. You want a steak that's tender but not too fatty? They pick the right piece instantly. This precision creates absolute trust, something people 50+ value deeply when choosing meat for their families. No showmanship, no empty promises, only technique and real quality behind every cut. In a market where most grocery chains chase industrialization, Stater Bros still preserves the essence. Meat is cut as a craft, not as a factory product. And that is exactly why they consistently appear on the list of the best places to buy meat in California and across the United States. 6. Publix. The clean-cut standard of the Southeast Publix is not a cheap meat grocery store. Publix is the place where shoppers walk in and sigh with relief. Ah, this is what a real meat counter looks like. While many supermarkets try to hide industrial processing with red lighting or arrange meat to look visually pleasing, Publix chooses to make everything so clean that it almost feels upscale. Many people say the meat counter here looks more like a watch boutique than a place selling meat. Everything is neatly arranged, precise, no off-color spots, no ugly corners tucked away. The most distinctive part of Publix lies in its obsessive quality control. The Angus beef here almost always maintains consistent freshness and natural color, without any sense of being made up or visually manipulated. Anyone who has bought meat from multiple stores will recognize instantly. Publix cuts have the right moisture level, real fat distribution, a clean surface, no sliminess, and no off-odor. The very things people 50+ are particularly sensitive to. But what makes Publix the default destination for people in the Southeast is the service attitude. Here, you don't feel like someone trying to fight for the best-looking tray of meat. You feel like a regular at a family butcher shop, where everyone knows you're choosing a cut for dinner, not buying something just to pick up food. They help you choose the thickness of your steak, guide you on how to cook it, and explain the differences between cuts that many other places never bother to clarify. Publix doesn't try to look fancy. Publix is clean, neat, and respects the meat in the truest sense. That's why in the Southeast, when someone says going to buy meat, people automatically think of Publix. Not because of the big brand, but because the meat counter here makes shoppers feel as safe as if they were buying food for the Publix employees' own families. 5. Sprouts Farmers Market. The clean meat sanctuary. Sprouts is not the place you stop by quickly. It's the place you go when you want to know what you're eating. In a supermarket world full of meat made up with red lighting, preserved with CO gas, and packaged to look better than it really is, Sprouts appears as a place that almost rebels against the entire industry. You walk in, and your first feeling isn't, "Is the meat fresh?" but "Good. They respect what I'm putting into my body." Sprouts belongs to the rare group in America that still maintains extremely high standards. Truly grass-fed, not just a pretty label. Organic in the real sense. Not marketing organic. Free range in the true meaning, not chickens taking a few steps inside a barn. You ask the staff about the origin of a cut of meat, and they answer clearly as if they had met the cow yesterday. People 50 plus are highly sensitive to chemicals, to strange smells, to freshness, and Sprouts meets that almost perfectly. No growth hormones, no antibiotics, no weight-boosting additives. Sprouts sells meat the same way it sells kindness toward your body. Sprouts exists as a reminder that eating isn't just about filling your stomach, it's about protecting your health. And for many people, especially those in sensitive age groups, Sprouts isn't an option. It is the only place they trust. 4. Whole Foods Market. The gold standard of honest meat. Whole Foods doesn't sell meat that's bright red just to look pretty. They sell the truth. In an industry where many supermarkets use CO gas to preserve color and lighting to make up the meat, Whole Foods goes in the completely opposite direction. The meat here is naturally red, not a visual trick, not emotional polish. And that's just the beginning. The biggest difference at Whole Foods, and the reason they stand in a class of their own, is the animal welfare rating, a system that evaluates how animals are treated, which most suppliers aren't qualified to join. The meat here isn't just clean, it's guaranteed from the way the animal was raised to the final moment. No hormones, no antibiotics, no weight boosters, no hiding anything. What few people know, Whole Foods is one of the rare supermarkets willing to remove a best-selling item if the supplier lowers its standards. They are willing to sacrifice profit to keep their promise to customers. This is exactly why the 50-plus age group trusts them completely. Because at this age, peace of mind matters more than price. Whole Foods is not a cheap choice. But it is the right choice when you want to know exactly what you're cooking for your family. No red lights, no fake color, no industrial meat dressed up, only transparency. In a world where meat can look better than the truth, Whole Foods reminds us that expensive but real is always worth it. 3. Costco Wholesale. The prime steak powerhouse Costco belongs to the rare group of supermarkets that need no introduction. Just say, going to Costco, and everyone knows you're about to buy something big, cheap, and surprisingly high quality. But when it comes to steak, Costco isn't just good. Costco ranks in the top 3 safest places in America to buy meat. It may sound exaggerated, but anyone who buys steak here understands. No dyed color, no fake red lighting, no looks great in the package but turns into sadness when cooked. What makes Costco legendary is USDA Prime. At other supermarkets, Prime is a luxury item, sometimes so expensive you have to ask yourself whether to buy a steak or pay the electric bill. But at Costco, the price is 30–40% cheaper. Many people joke, "Eating prime steak from Costco makes me feel bad for fancy restaurants." The impressive thing is that Costco isn't just cheap. They are unbelievably consistent. Whether you buy today or next month, the prime ribeye still has beautiful marbling, stays tender, and doesn't turn unexpectedly tough when cooked. In other words, Costco doesn't betray you. Costco is also perfect for 50-plus families who love cooking at home. Buy once, portion it out, freeze it, and every time you open the freezer, it feels like a steakhouse inside your own home. No need to say more. If you want great flavor, don't want to gamble with your meat, and still want to save money, then Costco is basically America's legal cheat code. 2. H-E-B, Texas, the Lone Star Meat Kingdom. In Texas, beef isn't just food, it's culture. And if there is any place that reflects that culture most clearly, it is H-E-B. Texans like to joke, "Want to know what truly good beef tastes like? Just go to H-E-B, stand in front of the meat counter for 10 seconds and you'll understand." It's not an exaggeration. H-E-B doesn't sell meat the mass market way. They sell things many other states haven't even seen before. What puts H-E-B in a class of its own is Prime 1 beef, the kind of meat usually found only in high-end steakhouses, the kind you pay $60–90 USD for a single ribeye. But at H-E-B, it's right there in the meat case, ready to take home. Thick marbling, tenderness, juiciness so high that the moment you lay it on a pan, you instantly know the difference. But what keeps Texans loyal for life lies in the people behind the counter. H-E-B's butchers know every cut, every seasoning style, every cooking method. You say you want a brisket to smoke for 12 hours? They cut it exactly the Central Texas BBQ way. You need soft fajitas for dinner? In a state where people can argue for hours about what makes the best brisket, H-E-B is the one place almost everyone agrees on. This is the paradise of red meat. No fancy talk, no complications, just Texas quality. True, authentic, and full of pride. 1. Wegmans, the gold standard of meat in America. If there is one place where Americans are willing to drive 40–60 minutes just to buy meat, it's Wegmans. Here, buying meat doesn't feel like going to a supermarket. It feels like stepping into a fine dining market where everything is prepared at a 5-star restaurant standard. The moment you approach the meat counter, you immediately see why Wegmans is ranked #1 nationwide. Real USDA prime, not the prime labeled for fun kind. Thick marbling as smooth as snow. Properly dry-aged selections that are deeply aromatic and buttery soft. And every steak is presented like a piece of art. Wegmans butchers are nothing like regular staff. Want a French-style pork chop? They create a French cut so beautiful, you'll want to take a picture before cooking. This is where even beginners are guided, as if taking a free masterclass. What makes Wegmans absolutely superior is its consistency. Whether you come this week or next month, the quality is the same. Fresh, naturally red, no fake lighting, no strange smell, no surprises when you open the package. This is priceless. 100% peace of mind. Every purchase is an act of trust. Service? Flawless. Nobody rushes you. Nobody is irritated. Wegmans treats customers as if you're selecting an expensive bottle of wine, not just buying a piece of meat. It's no surprise that year after year, national surveys all show the same result. Wegmans is #1, and no one is close enough to compete. In the end, buying meat isn't just buying a piece of food. It's buying health, peace of mind, and a meal worthy of your family. The 12 stores today show one very clear truth. Not every crowded store is the best store. Not every cheap store actually saves you money. And not every bright red piece of meat is fresh. Choose the store that respects you by respecting the meat they sell. Just leave one small like, but it helps many other families eat safer. See you in the next video, where we continue exposing the truths grocery stores never want you to know.